Hi and welcome back to my channel. Today's video we're going to be working on making mock-ups of new 18th century stays. I have stays and I wore them last year for a couple of costuming events, but they didn't fit me very well. I forgot to lengthen the trunk. I'm quite tall, so I need to generally lengthen the trunk of garments I make. And I also don't think they closed appropriately. So I've bought another pattern. I'm going to be using this red threaded, and you can't really see because it's reflecting. I'm using Red Threaded's 18th century stays, 1730 to 1770. I'm going to copy the pattern onto tracing paper so that I can make adjustments without actually altering the original purchase pattern. I'm hoping I can get this set of stays made relatively quickly so that I can start making the other garments that will go under my next costume using 18th century dress patterns, including a Brunswick, if I can find the pattern, because, you know, who doesn't need hoodies? Let's get started on making these stays. Apparently I printed 2 copies of this pattern, so I'm going to use one to make all of my grading adjustments on. And that way it's on just a little bit stiffer paper than tissue paper, and it might hold up a little bit better to the grading. So first thing I'm going to do is separate the 2 printed patterns. So before I get to sewing, I need to mark all of the notches and waist tabs. And there's different markings for both the outer layer, which is this lightweight canvas here, and the lining. So I'm going to do that, and then I will hopefully get to sewing. So once I got all the markings made, the instructions said to attach all the pieces together except for the back, the center back. So I have that sitting here, ready to work on in a little bit. The next step is to put the two layers together, wrong sides together, line them up, pin them, and then stitch the boning channels. So I have the boning channels sewn, and I know I sewed some of them incorrectly, so I'm really glad this is a mock-up. I set it up for spiral lacing. Not sure if I laced it correctly, but I really don't care. I'm going to add some zip ties in it to test out the boning placement, and then I'm going to try it on for fit. So where we left off last time, I had finished the mock-up, the first mock-up of my red threaded stays. I tried them on. I took some fit pictures and I posted them to get some sizing help from Cynthia, who is the owner, founder of Red Threaded. So I've made those adjustments to my pattern. Right now, the biggest adjustment I needed to make was adding 2 inches to the trunk length, which I expected to have to do. So I've done that. I've cut out my next mock-up. It's all cut, ready to go. I just need to add the markings and the boning lines to it and get it sewn together, and then I can try this and see if the trunk length is correct. Once I know for sure that the trunk length is correct, then I will make any width changes I need to make. But I feel like the trunk changes, trunk length changes are going to fix any issues that I had with this stays pattern. So I finished the second mock-up of my 18th century stays, and I will insert pictures of me wearing them somewhere. I decided though that I didn't quite use strong enough fabric for that mock-up, and so I'm making the exact same pattern alterations in a third mock-up. So it's technically still only the second one, I'm just using better fabric. And this time I'm going to actually completely put the stays in and bind it, just so that I can make sure it's fitting correctly. So I've got the whole thing put together, except I have the whole front put together and the two back pieces put together, and now I am inserting the boning and getting ready to add the binding. I made the third mock-up of my 18th century stays and posted pictures of the mock-up to the Foundations Revealed Stitchlings Facebook group so that I could get some fit help. I'll go ahead and add those pictures here as well. I have been working with Luca Castigliolo to fit my stays correctly, and he has suggested some pattern adjustments. I sent him a picture of my pattern pieces, and he sent me back a picture with some suggested adjustments on it. So I'm going to mark those on my pattern pieces now and make one more mock-up and see if that works. And if so, then I think we are good to go to make the final version. Now that I have all of the new pieces traced, I trace them like this. I don't know if you can see, maybe. There we go. So the blue is the seam allowance, green is boning channels and notes, and pink was what I used for the pattern piece size. I have them all traced out now. I have that one center front piece completely cut out, so I've got to cut the rest out of the paper, and then I will be cutting them all out of my mock-up fabric one more time, and hopefully this will be it. So I have the entire mock-up number 4 put together and the boning channels sewn. And this mock-up just included a few small changes that were suggested to me by Luca Constigliolo from Foundations Revealed. I'm ready to put the bones in it. I'm not going to bind this pair, I'm just going to sew along the binding seam lines just for convenience and quickness. But as soon as I get the bones put in, I will try it on and see where we go from there. Mock-up number 4 boning channels are now closed, the lacing is in, and the straps are tied, so it's time to try it on. If it fits great, then it's a go, and I'm going to start working on my final.